Good evening. We're going to go ahead and call the meeting to order.
Commission Member Abad,
Present.
Commission Member Bennett,
Here.
Commission Member Fernandez has advised us that he will be logging in via Zoom later tonight, so he is absent. Commission Member Matos. Present. Commission Member Ruano will not be able to join us due to a family emergency. She is absent. Vice Chairman Inguanzo will not be able to participate in the meeting today due to work matters. He is absent, and Chairman Ley Soto.
Present.
Chairman, you have quorum.
Thank you very much. Next, we're going to, if we could please rise for the moment of silence, and I'm going to ask Commissioner Matos to please lead us.
As we are joined together in the town of Miami Lakes, we ask for guidance and wisdom as we move forward in the next sections of our charter revision. I appreciate the associates and my peers that are here and the town staff. Thank you.
Thank you. And we remain standing. If we can have Commissioner Member Abad, if you could lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. All right, going to the first item, order of business. Do we have any deferrals, additions, or deletions to the agenda?
I'd like to have an addition, if I may. I'd like to add some discussion in reference to the events that occurred in section 8, number 8, section 4.8 of the minutes, the events that occurred there, and I would like to have some discussion.
Okay, can you please elaborate what do you mean by a discussion?
Well, I want to go over the events that's in the minutes, and I would like to discuss what occurred to this commission.
Okay. Where would you call that? Or were you asking that? Where are you making a motion to add that?
We can add that, during the minutes when we go ahead and approve the minutes. There's a couple of changes that need to be done, or I can do it following the minutes. It doesn't matter.
Okay, so if it's going to be changes to the minutes, we just handle that under the approval of the minutes, or are you asking that to be a separate line item for discussion?
Separate line item for discussion.
Okay, so where would you want that? Under old business?
Yes.
And what are you titling it?
Let's discuss it, Robert's Rules of Order.
Robert's Rules of Order? I thought you said it was a discussion of 8.2. Or section 8.
4.8.
You want to have a discussion on Robert's Rules of Order?
Right. Number 8, 4.8 was the section that we were discussing.
Okay, is there a second to his motion to add, I would say 7I, entitled Robert's Rule of Order? Is there a second?
I'll second it, but have we gotten to 8 though?
We'll get to it.
No second? All right, any discussion on the item? Okay, so all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Say nay. No. I don't know. Sorry.
I'm fine to discuss it.
Okay. All right. Madam Clerk, you got that? All right, 1 no. So section 9, Robert's Rules of Order. It'd be 7I. And he asked for it to be entitled Robert's Rules of Order. All right, do we have any other deferrals, additions, or deletions? All right, I'm going to be moving to remove items 7B through 7F is my motion, and those are sections 2.3A, 2.5, 2.5, or 2.5C2, 2.5C4, 2.5C6, and 2.5C7. And give it just a basic understanding is the reason why is that we were going to follow up on these. These were proposals that we were going to get from the town attorneys in their discussions is we believe they're going to be pulling those together at a later time. And so there's no need to really discuss them at this time as they're going to be drafting up some language. So that's the motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
We have a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, motion passes. Those items are deleted from the agenda, from this agenda. All right, any other items to be for deferrals, additions, or deletions? All right, seeing none, we're finished with order of business. Public comments, Madam Clerk?
Good evening and welcome to the meeting. As I always state, if you're here for public comments, please just approach the podium, state your name and address for the record. And then we will address the public comments that are remote.
Good evening, go ahead.
Good evening, committee. Good to see you all. Happy to see, to have quorum tonight. Alejandro Sanchez, 14531 Cedar Court, Miami Lakes, Florida, 33014. I'm up here tonight with regards to item 7H 2.1, section 2.1 of the town council. Sometimes we make decisions they say everything in hindsight is 2020. And we don't see the ripple effect that it can have on other items. So bringing the council, mind you, this is going to have no effect on me personally. I'm just speaking on behalf of the 34,000 residents of the town of Miami Lakes and the volunteers that work for the town of Miami Lakes. Bringing the council down from 7 to 5 with a mayor and 4 council members has a ripple effect on planning and zoning and the other 11 committees that we have in the town. So now, instead of just having 2 less seats, we're actually bringing it down by another 26 seats. Planning and zoning would have 2 less individuals, Veterans Committee would have 2 less, planning, public safety, so on and so forth. Elderly Affairs would actually have 6 less individuals since we each get 3 appointees per elected official. So, I would highly recommend taking a look back at that item and making sure that that 5 is the way you want to go, just because of the ripple effect it's going to have down the line. Volunteerism is the heartbeat of America. We have one of the best militaries in the world because it's a volunteer military. It's not a draft. No one's mandated to join the military, and it's one of the main reasons why we have a strong military. And to tell people that they can no longer volunteer when it costs $0 to have them volunteer to bring forth events like 4th of July, Spring Fling, Veterans Day Parade, among other events like the first ever Cars for Heroes show last year. You're bringing down that workforce that's already complementary. So I ask you to please review that once again to try to keep it at 7 because of the ripple effect it's going to have. So thank you for your time, and I wish you nothing but the best of luck. And and I know that you have the mental capacity to do the right thing and represent the 34,000 residents of the town of Miami Lakes. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much, Mr. Councilmember. Next.
Chairman, I don't see anyone else in council chambers for public comments. And looking at my my laptop screen, I don't see any participants, but I like to always just make sure that I stress that this meeting is live stream and that we do take public comments via remote, as we do for special calls and regular council meetings. The information is in the website. The information is in the agenda. We're here all night. And if someone joins the meeting, the IT department will let us know, and I will let you know if somebody needs to speak. But again, let the record reflect. Oh, I do see. I'm sorry, I do see a participant. Welcome, Council Member Stephen Hertzberg. I just saw your name. There we go, and I see your hand. So I understand you want to speak. IT, please allow Council Member Stephen Hertzberg to participate in remote public comments.
Good evening, everyone. I already sent you guys all an email, so feel free to always reach out to me if you have any comments on that. I honestly wasn't going to speak with them, Councilman Sanchez did. And a little bit on that issue from 7 to 5. At the end of the day, the voters get to decide. You just have suggestions. My issue is that to make sure that you guys focus on the suggestions that are most important and that need problem solving. And in the last few meetings, you have been discussing those well. And I want to emphasize that your job is to do what you believe is best for the residents. For example, on that 7 to 5, most of the things discussed was efficiency, makes it easier for staff. That's not your job. Your job is not to make things easier for staff. your job is to do what you believe is best for the residents of the town of Miami Lakes, not just in the next few years, but for the next 10, 20, 50 years. Because things that are added and voted in, if the voters want the change, likely will be there forever. It's a lot harder to remove things from a charter than it is to add them. So that's just the perspective to keep in mind. And for example, I mean, you'll see in the city of Miami, they're moving forward with a potential charter revision to go from 5 to 9. So I don't see the ask to lower representation. Of course, that's up to you, and then ultimately, the final say is up to the voters. And then lastly, on the primary election, I don't believe the primary election is a bad idea. It makes sense, but it should be a true primary. The reason why we want to go away from the runoff is because people don't show up to runoffs. 10%, 15%, we know that. So the primary makes sense, but don't allow a primary to be an end-all election just because someone got 50%. My suggestion is if that's really the will of the commission and the ask, it should be more higher than 50+1, maybe 60%, like we do in the state with constitutional amendments. But making a low turnout August election, potentially the primary, the final election doesn't make sense when the whole reason for going to a primary is to avoid the low turnout runoff elections. So I think we should just be consistent on the purpose of that. So you guys doing good work. Good luck tonight. I'll watch, and as always, thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilman Herzberg. I just did want to note for the record that he also submitted a note or an email that was shared with the entire commission. I've reviewed it, and I'm sure the other commissioners have also reviewed it in advance or will be soon thereafter. Any other members seeking to speak, Madam Clerk?
No, I don't see any other participant online.
Right. Thank you very much. At this time, I'm closing public comments, and now we're moving to item 6, approval of the minutes. The minutes were shared with everyone, with the commissioners. Is there a motion to approve?
Chairman, before you proceed with the motion.
Apologies.
Yes, I want to bring to the attention of the board that on page 11 of the minutes, section 9, which is titled section 3.9, Town Boards and Agencies, it was brought to my attention that I did a little mistake that I need to correct, because I stated that Commission Member Bennett made a motion and that the motion was seconded by Commission Member Bennett, which we know that's not possible. So I will go back to the recording and my notes and change. I believe he did the motion. I believe he did from memory, but I'm gonna double check who was the person, what commission member seconded the motion. I'll make the corrections. And all I ask is if the approval of minutes could be approved with that condition, I will show it to all of you. More than happy next time that I make that we see each other as a group.
Sure. Quick, Mr. Town Attorney, should it be should we defer the minutes instead of approving them to the next meeting?
I think that would be the appropriate action, yes.
Okay. All right.
So I'll make the motion to defer the minutes to the next meeting.
And do we have a second on that
Second.
motion? Second to defer the minutes? Is there any further discussion on the motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, motion passes. The minutes approvals will be deferred to the next meeting for that revision, that correction vision. All right. Now moving on to old business. Section 7A, the Town Attorney Report. Mr. Town Attorney, we're going to come back with a few items that you wanted to discuss.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. As mentioned, there were a few items that you had asked me to look into. Primarily, you had asked me with regards to the town clerk, how many positions and how many cities rather have in their charter that the town clerk is beholden or appointed by the council. There's several, and I mean, I can come back at a later date with a report. However, I think that issue is somewhat moot given the action that this board took in making the change that now the town council, I'm sorry, that now the town clerk is appointed by the council. If you still want me to come back with a full report, I can do so at a later time.
Sure. I know I'd like, if you could, is just to come back with a, just a quick survey. It doesn't have to be a full detailed report, just giving us, this is how many municipalities have it appointed by another, just so that way we have it. So when we're finalizing the language and we moving forward with that provision it's also on the record. So that way the members of the community that are watching or they may re-watch at a later, at the next meeting when you present, so they have that information available to them as well.
Okay. With regards to the issue of the prohibitions, I do have some suggested language, but I would ask, and I'll tell you what the suggested language is going to be, but I think it might be best if we have everyone here and the town manager also present when we discuss that. And I think that the suggestion that I would have is that when it comes to interference with staff, that it be very specific that it's interference with staff under the supervision of the town manager. If you make that specification, then anything else that is a employee that is under either the council or the town mayor, there wouldn't be a contradiction or conflict rather.
Okay.
I think that might be the easiest fix, but I would ask if we could have that conversation when the town manager is present.
Yeah, and town manager, I think that discussion was a very full conversation. I think it might also be good to have it with the other members of the commission that are unfortunately weren't able to attend today.
Correct.
Chair,
Yes, Madam Clerk?
I am noticing that Mr. Town Manager Peterman has his hand up. Welcome, sir, to the meeting.
Sure.
Just wanted to recognize you.
So I'll go ahead and recognize the town manager to speak. I'm assuming you want to provide some information on that matter, other than that item?
No, I'd just like to see, I agree with the town attorney that we should, the deputy town attorney, that he and I should have a conversation about this and then bring it back after we've looked at it. But what he said verbally, I agree with that. If we're gonna set the town employees that are under the purview of the mayor or the town council, then they should be exemptions to that prohibition item.
All right, thank you. So I guess we'll anticipate that at the next commission meeting.
And then,
Okay.
yes, Mr. Chair, sorry for interrupting you. The other issue too, that you had asked was the research with regards to special qualification period and the special elections. And also, since that is an item that I believe that we should have the full board here and also the manager, I'd ask if we can move that report for the next meeting.
All right, thank you. I'm in agreement, that we should have both, we'll have the full commission, be best to have so everybody can listen into it before we move forward. Commissioner Bennett, you have a comment?
Yeah, just a reminder, I won't be at that next meeting. I'll be, as my critics believe, out to sea. So
at the next
I'll be
meeting?
on, yeah, on the next meeting. I
Okay.
won't be available. I'll try and tune in if my Wi-Fi on board the ship is adequate enough. I don't know if I'll be able to participate. I'll know more.
Okay.
I'm almost tempted to bring my Starlink Mini with me, but we'll see. So I just want to, I probably won't be here for the next meeting, but I will, of course, be for the following one.
Okay.
So just
So,
to note for the
yeah,
record.
we'll see we'll see who we have in attendance of the last one, and if anything, we need to defer one more. I don't think these items are things that we need to critically handle right now, but I do feel that, that we should have the majority, a good majority of the commission present for the meeting. So we'll take that into consideration. Thank you for letting us know. All right, anything else on your town report, on your report?
I think that's the items that have been asked to come back with, and I don't believe that there's any that are missing.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, that concludes 7A. Now we're going to go to 7G. This is an item from Commissioner Bennett.
Yes. Okay, obviously on 1.2.
One second, Commissioner Bennett. I just want to remind everyone is when we're presenting is, as I had stated the last meeting, is please limit the discussion to about 3 minutes if we're going to have it at the beginning. But then let's move on to have a motion that you're going to present for any type of language or anything going on. So let's try to limit that to about 3 minutes.
It won't take me 3 minutes.
Okay.
Obviously, I would prefer to have more of the commission members present when we discuss this. I'm debating about deferring this to the next meeting that I can attend. I just want to put something quickly out, just that there are various forms of government. The manager's position traditionally has, been an appointed position. The manager's basically just requires 4 votes to become manager and remain manager for all intents and purposes. I wanted to go ahead and bring the power back to the people and make it into an elected position with caveats. For example, If you're going to run to be a judge, you have to be an attorney. That is a requirement. You can't run to be a judge without being an attorney. You know, if you're going to go ahead and run to be a comptroller, you need to have some type of accounting capabilities or managerial skills. So we can limit it. It's not a strong mayor, no more than the tax collector is a strong mayor in Miami-Dade County. So at this point, I just want to put that out there, and I guess I'd like to hold off on any further discussion until more of our commissioners are here. So at this point, I guess I can pull the item.
Okay, well, you're welcome, like, as I've always stated, is you're welcome to, add items on future that are discussed. What I strongly ask is that for when you want to have it on, obviously you won't be at the next meeting, but on the meeting that follows after that, is please have a motion or some language to how you want that section
Yeah.
1.2 to be modified.
I had
so that we can
shared,
have it and
uh,
share it with the clerk, so that way the clerk has it available. She can share with us, but she can also have her deputy clerk available, so that way they can
Yeah.
post it, so we're reading it
Right.
as we're reviewing it.
yeah, I had shared it with her at a previous email 2 meetings ago. It's in the public records. It just
Okay,
wasn't a part of the package this time.
Okay,
But I did share it with her and all the specifications and and so I'll bring it back and I'll redo it.
yeah, if you
So-
could just resend it, so that way
Yeah.
it's all at one time.
What I really want is a good public debate with as many commissioners as we can. That's what I want to hear. This is why I bring it. And it's something to be thought of and to debate. Thank you.
Absolutely, not a problem. All right, seeing nothing further on section 7G, move on to 7H, 2.1, Town Council, another item that is brought forward by Commissioner Bennett.
All righty, so I'm in agreement that we should keep 7 seats, 6 at large, and at least, and of course, the mayor. Any constitutional scholars here tonight? No? Okay, there's something that is a precept in the law, at least constitutional, called the tyranny of the majority. It's usually characterized with 2 wolves and a lamb are on a committee, and they're voting on what's to eat, what's for dinner. So the issue that we have here is when you limit or reduce the number of commission members, it allows a smaller majority to overrule and to basically minimize the remaining members of the commission. It's reducing the power of the people and increasing the power of the leader. Well, we'll say traditionally it's been the mayor, but it doesn't have to be the mayor. It's whoever can get their majority votes. So what I'm concerned about is I think that the idea of reducing the number of seats is a serious problem for this and future councils, actually. So what I would like to do is make a motion to, once again, I wish more commissioners were here because, but my motion, and I'll make it again if I have to, is that we rescind the section that changed the 7 seats to a 5-seat council. And that's basically my motion at this time. I'll bring it back if I have to when we have more commission members.
Okay,
Thank
is there a second to the motion?
I mean, I'll second it.
Okay. All right, and open up for discussion.
So,
No, Commissioner Member Bod, sorry.
Before he moves, though, I do have a point of parliamentary inquiry, well, on the parliament, but for the clerk's inquiry. According to the rules, the only person that can bring up a motion is the one that's on the prevailing side. That's also both in Robert's rules and in our rules of order. So how did Dr. Bennett vote on that matter?
I'd have to look at the minutes for that.
Yeah, because if not, he can't bring the motion.
That was that was the January 26th meeting.
If you can give us a minute?
Yeah,
because
it's-
If
yeah,
it
if we
if
give-
it
we
is,
can
then it's
take a minute.
proper. If not, then it's not proper.
Yeah, I understand. All right, I'm seeing it.
From memory, Dr. Bennett, you were not in the prevailing side. If that is the motion that Attorney Mireles Castillas
Yeah,
is,
I'm-
right?
Yeah,
Is that
I'm
the
I'm
motion
looking
that
at the
we're-
minutes right now.
Yes.
And I see here that the town clerk called the roll. This is going from the minutes of that meeting. And it says the town clerk called the roll on the main motion as amended, and the motion passed 4-3. Commission member Abad, Commission member Bennett, and Commission member Ruano voted in opposition. And if someone can correct me if I'm wrong.
So the motion could only be brought by someone that was on the prevailing side.
Okay, to repeal a prior motion, that was one, correct?
Correct.
All right, my apologies. So then we simply withdraw the motion. Is the motion automatically withdrawn, or do we have to take any process since he called the motion and it was seconded?
Unless someone that's on the prevailing side wants to bring the motion based on his request, then the motion, I think, would die.
Okay. All right,
That's what the rules say, then we will comply with the rules. Thank you.
thank you, Mr. Town Attorney. All right, the motion has died, as based on the point of clarification from the Town Attorney. Is there any other motions or any other discussions, Mr. Commissioner Bennett?
Not at this time. I
On
mean,
that section?
That's, we'll see what happens, but that's it, yeah.
All right, if nothing further on 7H, we're now going to move to 7I. Commissioner Bennett, you have for Robert's Rules of Order, you wanted to have a discussion?
Yes, please. Just quickly, Robert's Rules of Order basically specifies, how public comments are to be treated. And people that are not a member of this commission or from the town staff, in order for there to be public comments reopened, there must be a motion, a second, and then basic people voting that we reopen public comments. That is not what occurred, because if any individual that is allowed to address without basically being opened up with public comments, there's no room for a rebuttal. Nobody can go ahead and rebut what was said. And that's a serious violation under Robert's Rules of Order, that you need to reopen public comments, you need to have a motion, a second, and a vote. And if they're open, then the public may speak again. Okay? The mayor is not a member of this commission. He does not have any standing here. He is basically a private citizen. And we had some debate about that. And that's how I understand how Robert's rules work. Now, in addition, one final thing. I did ask for clarification from our town attorney. They neither cited any type of case law or Florida statutes or anything stating anything other than what Robert's Rules says. Okay? So at this point now, I'm willing to go ahead and accept an acknowledgement that that is the proper procedure to reopen public comments if you choose to do so. That's it.
So, Mr. Town Attorney, I'm going to make some comments first. I'm not sure what you're referring to. Public comments were not reopened at any point in time. If
Correct.
you're referring to the time when I accepted the invitation of the mayor to speak before the commission, that was not reopening of public comments. I made that very clear at that meeting. You may disagree with it, but at no point did I say I was reopening public comment, nor did I seek that motion to reopen public comment. However, my understanding has been, and I believe the town attorney had clarified, and I'm going to ask him if he's reassessed it and made that clarification, and correct me if I was incorrect at that time, is that I, as the chair, have the ability to invite members, regardless of whether they are the mayor and member of the council or anyone else, to come speak on an item. And that's a prerogative of the chair, is my understanding has always been under Robert's Rules of Orders, and that's what I had done in that instance. And, if I need to be corrected, I need to be corrected. Moreover, as I had stated at the last meeting, and as I stated in meetings prior, including our first meeting, is that I will always entertain hearing from not only the mayor, but any member of the council that wishes to speak on the item, because of their knowledge of operational continuity of how our actions will affect. And it's not for them to vote on any items, but using their special expertise that they have as members of the council and as the mayor, where they can provide us the opportunity to have additional information that may be helpful. I find this to be in line with also getting advice during these meetings from the town attorney, the town clerk, and the town manager. None of them are a part of this commission either, but yet we still hear from them in providing this information, and they're invited to be part of this to be able to discuss it with us. So, Mr. Town Attorney,
I'd like to rebut that.
hold on one second. I've asked the town attorney, and then we can go back to you.
It is common in our government practice, with whether it's any type of board or whether it's the council, that when an item specific requires the input, or it's desirable to have the input of someone who is either a subject matter expert or someone who is going to be impacted by the certain motion, to have them speak, and it is the prerogative of the chair to allow them to speak at that time. The mayor is not a private person, and while he is not a member of this board in no way, shape, or form, he is a person that is directly impacted by the charter, and he is a subject matter expert to some degree on the item, given that he is the mayor of this town, and that is his governing document of which he has sworn to abide by, and he has to follow. So I think the fact that you provided the input from them and from the council persons who are directly impacted by the charter is not a violation. That's not a public comment.
Thank you. Commissioner Bennett.
And it's exactly why it's a problem. It's undue influence over members of this commission from someone who is not a member of the commission, applying their own opinion to this commission without rebuttal from the public. I'm sorry. I believe you are wrong. And if I have to, I will go to the next step to prove that you are wrong, Mr. Attorney.
May I answer that?
Sure.
The public has no input here other than a meaningful opportunity to provide their opinion prior to a decision being made by the board. That's it. That is what Florida statute says specifically. And they do not need to be provided an opportunity at every single meeting just prior to you making a vote, and you really haven't made an ultimate vote. So I think the fact that you're providing the time for each of the public to make their comment on any item is sufficient. Furthermore, I'd also say that it is proper, and it is in our rules of procedure for our committee rules and our council, that those timeframes be limited to 3 minutes. It's if it is placed in a particular rules, as a government, we have the ability to regulate the time, place, and manner as to those public comments. So that's not a violation.
Thank you. And I'd also like to say, Commissioner Bennett, that you're incorrect in that the public doesn't have the opportunity, because the public has the opportunity to come speak today. They have the opportunity to submit, to appear in person, to appear via Zoom, or to even submit comments that could be shared with everybody on those items. And I do not think that it causes undue influence onto this commission, because I don't believe that any of the commission members that sit here felt that they had to go with whatever the mayor had said or what he suggested or any opinion that he gives, or any other individuals that come before us that provide us some subject matter type of expertise, such as the town manager, the town attorney, the clerk, or whomever else. They all will have the opportunity at every public comment to come and speak. If they disagreed with what the mayor has to say, or any other individual that is invited to speak, they will have that opportunity.
Respectfully, the idea that a person can influence the commission in any way by speaking to it, whether it's just by title, as you've already indicated that he holds a title, and the influence that comes with that title to this commission in any way addressing this commission, okay, constitutes undue influence. I'm sorry that if you don't disagree, but that's a matter of debate, I guess. I once again disagree. All you had to do, I'm sorry, is just open it for public comments, and he could have spoken. I would have been no objection whatsoever. I think the procedures were not followed.
All right, thank you. Any other further discussion on this item? All right, seeing none, we're going to be closing out on 7I. Now we're going to move to Section 8, items for discussion or action. We're going to start with Article 8A, elections, Article 5, and starting with number 1, Section 5.1, elections. And I'm going to ask, as I understand, is Manager Peterman will be providing discussion on proposed language for Section 5.1. Manager Peterman, you're recognized.
Yes. I'm only dealing with one screen here, so it's a little more difficult for me. All right. This is an item that Council Member J.C. Fernandez asked me to present on his behalf since he was going to be not available tonight. So this is essentially in item 5.1, small letter C, the added language. Do we have, Gina, I can't see the screen. Do we have the item on the board, on the Zoom? It's up?
Yes. Yes.
Oh, I
it's up.
see, okay.
So, and
Okay.
Manager Peterman, I'm sorry to interrupt. So, yeah, I see that we have A, B, and C. So we'll get back to A and B in just a second, just in case anybody has any discussion items, but we'll go ahead with 5.1C. We'll take them sub item by each. So if we'll start
Okay.
with 5.1C, Manager Peterman.
Yes, and this is, in a sense, a way of getting away from the runoff election that we have typically that has a low voter turnout. And this is transitioning our system to be in line with the county elections that have, with a slight twist. And I'll tell you what the twist is. This is to have a primary. So in other words, if we have 3 or more candidates qualify during our qualifying period in the summer, in June or July, whenever we have it, then there would be a primary election that would be held in conjunction with the county and state primaries that are done in August.
I believe you meant
Um,
2 or more, not 3 or more. Is that correct?
No, if there's only 2, we don't need the primary. And there's
okay.
only,
My apologies.
right, no worries, no worries. It needs to be talked through and make sure that we got it right. So if there's 3 or more, then they would go to a primary election that would be held in August. The top 2 vote getters, if nobody gets 50%, the top 2 vote getters from an election that has 3 or more people qualified, they would go to a runoff at the November general election. If there's only 2 people that qualify for any specific seat, then they would only go directly to the general election in November. And obviously this is to enhance the amount of people that make a final decision on a seat. And that's what the item in 5.1 small letter C hopes to dictate. And actually also in small letter D, it's the more language that goes towards that same point or that same objective.
All right. Thank you.
And-
Go ahead.
Okay, I'll get to it when we get further down in the article, because
Yes.
there's another comment about 5.1 H.
Okay. All right. Given that presentation by Manager Peterman, as Councilman Fernandez is unable to attend today, do we have a motion?
So I'll make the motion
There's not one on the table. We'll make a motion.
Well,
That's the item.
to, no, obviously, to discuss this item.
yes. You make a motion to amend? It'd be the motion would be to amend the language.
Actually, I just want to discuss it. If anybody, I don't know if I
Okay.
want to
Well,
amend it, but.
I'll make,
That-
let's clear. I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna make the motion to add the language as noted in the draft, which is if more than 2 candidates qualify in any race for mayor or council member, a primary election shall be held to coincide with the date of the primary election of countywide elections, period. If only 2 candidates qualify, or in the event that no candidate obtains 50% plus 1 more vote in a primary election, comma, the top 2 candidates receiving the most votes in the primary shall move on to the general election, period. Further, there's a deletion of the last 2 sentences of that section. The sentences to be deleted is a runoff election shall be held 21 calendar days after the general election, period. The council shall hold no meetings between the general election and the swearing in of those newly elected or re-elected council members, except in the case of an emergency affecting life, health, property, or the public peace. And that is the motion. Is there a second?
Second for discussion.
We have a second for discussion. All right, we'll open it up for discussion. Commissioner Abad?
All right, so before I start the discussion on this, I just want to put something on the record. So I've noticed that in 2 of our 5 meetings, these suggestions come. I know at the beginning we spoke that the town will be making some suggestions. I'm sort of confused as to if this is Councilman Fernandez's suggestions, the town council suggestion, the town staff suggestion. But my concern is that like, this is the second time that it comes up, and we're not really discussing the charter, we're discussing really the changes that Councilman Fernandez is bringing up. So that's just a concern that I have. But I will say this about that. I do think we want the most amount of voters to come out and vote. Having a primary in August, I don't think will bring a lot of people out to vote. I'd be more comfortable with the actual November election. And if you need to do a runoff, there's a lot of cities, a lot of municipalities that have runoffs. So do it that way. That way, at the very least, you get the largest amount of voters to come out, to vote, to choose the person they want. I mean, there's multiple of us who have ran before. I remember all that work and 2,000 people came out to vote. I mean, it's really, disheartening for me. It was for me, but I'm sure for anybody else who's ran. So I don't agree with switching it to an August election. I think we should keep our November election. And if possible, 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, however the county decides to do it, then we do a runoff election.
Okay, sure. So let me I'll address briefly, and then I'll ask Manager Peterman to chime in case I don't capture it completely. My understanding is these presentations are these items are being, that are at least specifically like this, or that has been presented by Councilman Fernandez. My understanding is that's what is being presented through town staff. It's not necessarily the council. The council has their ability to otherwise provide their own items that they would like to add that goes outside of this out of this body. And so, but my understanding is that Manager Peterman, together with staff, have worked with Councilman Fernandez, and he presents it as he's the non-voting member of this commission.
But to
That's
clarify,
that's my understanding.
so he's representing town staff. That's his role within the commission.
Well, I don't know if he's representing town staff, but he's making the presentations. It was a decision, my understanding, and I'll ask Manager Peterman to explain it, is that he had asked, or they had coordinated, and that Councilman Fernandez would be the one to present those items rather than Manager Peterman, other than obviously Tay, as Councilman Fernandez is unable to attend.
Mr. Chair,
So, yes.
can I say something? So that was something that we debated a little, you all as a body. Traditionally, the town manager has not participated in actually being part of every single meeting. He participates from the audience. That's traditionally the way that, this has been done. But as a body, you all decided that you felt that it was important to have the town manager every single one of these meetings to discuss the items, present the items, and give us feedback, which is very important. As I previously mentioned, the town manager, together with the town mayor and the town council, are the ones that will be most directly impacted by any of these changes personally. Of course, the entire town is as well. It's our Bible. This is our Constitution. That being said, all of you have equally the same right that the manager just had to present your items and say what you want to be corrected for consideration. Town manager can't vote on the item, but if he wants to present it, hey, as a suggestion, it's perfectly okay. Because that's what you've decided. You want his input, and you can have any input from anyone that you desire. That's okay. The one thing I do want to make a mention that the chair just stated, and to address your point, Commissioner Abad, is that the council, independent of this board, can suggest at any point in time to place an item on the ballot to make a charter change. That's something that they don't need us for. They can do that independently. So if they wanted to right now and have a meeting next week and put a new business item that they wanted to add something to the charter, that's fine. They can do that.
I mean, again, and I just don't want to spend too much time on it. I mean, my thing was that I'm seeing some of the things that he suggested in the past. Like, for example, I know the suggestion was to cut from 7 to 5, right? Like the council members. And that was one of those recommendations. But yet I've seen 2 sitting council members come up and state we should have kept it at 7. So I don't know if there's a disconnect in communication, but if he's acting on behalf of the town staff, then I understand.
He can't act, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, no, please, go ahead,
I'm
Mr.
sorry,
Calendar.
Mr. Chair. He can't act on behalf of the council. I mean, unless the council altogether unanimously vote and say, hey, town manager, say this, he can't do that because, again, they all have to act in the sunshine, and they'll have to make decisions in the sunshine. They can't, act independently. He's here because he is the CEO of the town, and you have all asked him to participate in these proceedings.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair.
Give me 1 second. And also as Commissioner Abadi, I also did want to say is, to your point, is if the commission does feel strongly that they want to keep it, that they want to have it kept to 5, I believe they even have the prerogative to do a counter to keep it at the 7 to 5, at 7 members. They can put it in, I believe, as we see in later on in the charter, one of the items that we're reviewing, in the event that there's 2 conflicting charter amendments, the one that wins is the one that gets the higher vote. So the town could come back and say, hey, look, there's two items, but you know what? Whether one's going to be to move it down to 5 and the 7 is, no, we're going to keep it at 7, and that one prevails, that one has 80%, 90% of the vote, versus the other one that's an independent one only comes in at 60%, the 90% would win. That's the way I read the subsequent charter provisions. Commissioner Bennett.
Through the chair to our town attorney. So once again, it was in the charter that they can suggest charter amendments. How many total questions can we have on the ballot that are allowed?
I can double check for you, but I don't believe that there is a set limit. There's a set format as far as the wording of them. So the actual, and that's why we're going through the entire charter, and then we're going to come back with the questions, because the questions are limited to words. I believe it's 70 words or less.
Okay, so there's a limit on words, but not number of amendments.
No.
Okay,
not
so
at
I
all.
mean, at least that's what you think. And obviously, in a hypothetical, once again, if the commission, our council wanted to push all of the questions that are important way down the ballot, how many charter amendments can they suggest to be a part of the,
I don't believe there's a limit. They can ask
Okay.
whatever they like.
I'm, once again, unfortunately, I game these things out, and this is what, in my mind, what I see. But, okay. If I may, a question is Mr. Peterman still with us?
Yes, I believe Manager Peterman is still on.
Yeah, Mr. Peterman, just out of curiosity, maybe you understand this more than I do. What do you think the intent of this was? Was this to save money so we don't have to have special election? Was it to try and get more voter turnout? Was it, what the change in language, what impact do you anticipate?
Yeah, I'll take the opportunity to answer that, but also I want to just address real quick Commissioner Abad's concern. And these items that are being presented are items that Council Member J.C. Fernandez, as being part of this commission while not having a vote, is part of the debate. He worked on these. We went over all of these with him. He's the one that is proffering these. These are Council Member J.C. Fernandez's item that we helped him fine tune and helped him with the language. And so from staff, these are not staff's proposals. These are Council Member J.C. Fernandez's proposals that we helped him massage and fine tune with regard to language and so forth. So I think that I know that Councilmember Fernandez's intent with this is that there will be more people participating in the August primary, if one is necessary, because the primary in August will also have county and state races, as compared to a runoff that may happen in and around the 21 days following the first Tuesday of November, which always falls in and around Thanksgiving. He believes that the turnout will be much greater in an August primary than a runoff that happens in late November. So it is strictly, it's not a matter of limiting costs. It is to enhance and improve voter turnout in those races when 3 or more people qualify for an election.
Yes, hold on. Let me also, I wanted to chime in an additional, because this was also an item that I was thinking about in taking consideration, especially based on our conversation that we had at the last meeting, that it came in about the timing of the elections. I also believe that, in line with what Manager Peterman had said, that I think this has 2 fronts. One is the turnout, And I also believe that you'll have a much better turnout when you have at the primary and the general election, the way that it's set out here, rather than waiting for the general election and then waiting to do our own runoff election, because you're going to just get overall, like as he said, it's not only the holidays, but statistically, every single runoff that you do on an off cycle from a major election just doesn't get the attention publicly, and you're going to get a much less voter turnout. Secondarily, that I believe it obviously has the intrinsic aspect of saving costs to the extent that you're coinciding an election with the primary election that the county's already doing, and you're not assuming additional funds that you're already running anyways in matters of polling places, in printing out ballots, sending out information. It's going on with that time, and then moving over to the regular election in November. And so that's why, I was also considering to have a similar type of edits. And I'm glad that J.C. Fernandez had proposed it, worked with town council or with the town staff on that, on shaping this type of language. Sorry, go ahead, Commissioner
Yes.
Bennett.
Thank you so I can reclaim the floor. I appreciate that. A question to the manager. Do these elections tend to be the gubernatorial elections on these off cycles? I mean, there's obviously the main election for president, but isn't the gubernatorial elections around in August also?
Well, the gubernatorial election and the presidential elections only happen in November, but it's on those midterm elections or presidential elections. So it's every 2 years. It's on the even years that our elections will be had. So, but it is the elections, the primary elections for county races and state races, and it's something that's quantifiable. I'm sure that if you wanted to kind of put a pin in this one and ask the town clerk to come back next time with statistics, it's very quantifiable. It's not a guess. We can look and see how many ballots were cast in Miami Lakes for the August county and state elections versus the most recent one, which was even a mayor's race, which would actually probably draw more than if it were a runoff for a town council election. If she can look and see how many votes were cast in August versus the mayor's runoff election in late November, and it's very quantifiable, and it's the numbers will be stark. I believe that there will be a lot more ballots cast in August than there were for the runoff for the mayor's election in late November.
Okay, thank you. So, yeah, basically what I'm thinking about, obviously, my theme has always been, we want as many people to be involved with their town, with what goes on here. And we want to engage as many, not only electors, but just the people of the town to come and basically, forward their will to the council. I'm going to make an amendment to table this item until such time as the clerk can provide us some statistical analysis of the two races, just so I can get some type of, actual hard evidence or hard information before we can vote on this. That's my motion.
Okay, is there a second to the motion?
So you know what, I do want to second it, but I also wanted to add,
Okay.
instead of just the statistics,
Well, hold on. So you're seconding the motion?
Yes.
Correct? Okay, so make sure the clerk got that. Okay, now
So-
we'll open it for discussion on tabling.
On tabling.
item.
so as we table it, just as he wants his stats, I would like to know what other municipalities in our county does. Yeah, I mean, we've compared that before, right? And items have come up, what do other municipalities do? So I would like to know if they do have a primary just for a regular council race, because I mean, I might be wrong, but I don't recall seeing many of those.
Okay. Madam
It,
Clerk.
it was my intent that that type of information be provided. In other words, not just numbers, but how is everybody else doing? Just something so we can have an idea of what has been done before, so maybe we don't have to reinvent the wheel. So, and that way we can, by an informed judgment, decide on this. Thank you.
Okay, is there any other discussion? And we're on the motion to table the matter to the next meeting. Seeing no further discussion, all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Seeing none, motion passes, and we're going to table the motion. Madam Clerk, to the next meeting, please make sure that it's on the agenda. Okay, going back, I know we skipped over section 5.1A. Anyone have any motions or any considerations for 5.1A? Okay, we're going to go now to 5.1B. nonpartisan elections. Any discussions or modifications? All right. So getting back on track, now we're going to go back to item 5.1D. We'll have an initial discussion. If you can have the presentation, Manager Peterman.
I think this is this is the general election. So this is in the same, it was language that was necessary to accomplish the same thing we just spoke about.
Okay. So I think given
the
our
first section-
conversations,
Yeah.
Manager Peterman, what I was going to ask is, given the tabling of the initial motion, which I think would drive any of the discussions in 5.1, at least based on your proposals of D, E, as well as in H, do you want, I think it might be best to just table those discussions to the next meeting.
Well, if whoever's running if you scroll down to H, I think H may be a little different. It may be a standalone item. This was because of before we used to have legislators, when they got elected, they would take office the day following the runoff election, or the day following the general election if there was no runoff. And this proposal here is also in line with what happens at the county level. And I believe that this is more in line. So there would be a transition period. And I know that there are several, that Miami-Dade County does it like this. I'm almost sure the state offices do it like this. I'm almost sure that City of Hialeah just recently went to a change similar to this, where even though the election happens in November, the transition to the next office holder takes place in early January. And that's what this is seeking to accomplish. And really, it doesn't have anything to do, it's kind of sort of impacted by the other items in this article, but it really can be considered as a standalone item.
Thank you, Manager Peterman. So you're fine with we're going to defer to your discussions on D and E, and now that we've had your presentations on H, is there a motion with regards to item H? I'll make the motion. I see that, and I understand what you're saying. So I'm going to make the motion to modify the language in H to read, the term of office of all elected officials will commence, adding language at 12 noon with 12 p.m. in parentheses, continuing on the striking day, adding second Tuesday of the January, continuing on following the striking day of the, and then continuing on general election, and then striking the remaining of the sentence. Is there a second? We have a second? All right, open for discussion?
Okay, so I'm sorry.
Commissioner Bennett?
Yeah, this is basically just clerical to make it more convenient? I mean, basically, they're going to take office the day after the election if they win. That's essential. Nothing's really changing, is it?
No, the way I read this, and I think based on the discussion or the explanation from Manager Peterman, is that the term of office will commence at noon on the second day of January, not right after the election. So they have this transition period, and it's similar. I recall I saw this with regards to City of Hialeah when the mayor, he had his transition period. They have their installation and their swearing in happens at the beginning of January. I'm not sure what the other terms are, but this one is proposed
Okay,
for.
So
on
in other
second
words, the
Tuesday-
election,
Hold on one second. And
Okay.
this one's proposed for the second Tuesday of January following the general election. And I think that also, takes care of, giving that ability so that way everybody's not rushing immediately to following an election to get their stuff together in that December time period. And that's why I believe, this would be a good change.
okay,
Go ahead.
so let me just finish. So we'll say the defeated council member will not be able to vote on anything in December. Am I correct in that? Or does he still hold the power to vote even though he lost?
I believe they would still retain because they still have office of the town attorney.
Correct. They would still retain office, they'd be lame ducks.
So,
I
so
mean, that's similar again,
basically,
like you said, happens in Hialeah or in Miami.
so basically he becomes a lame duck council member, essentially. He's not going to be elected, but he still has the powers of the office.
Chairman,
I would,
and
I would call,
December
I
is
would
the
call
one
anybody a lame
month,
duck anything, but, Manager Peterman.
yeah, December is the 1 month of the year that we do not have scheduled a regular council meeting. We have council meetings January through November, and then typically in December, there's no scheduled regular council meeting.
And call special call, I'm sorry.
Commissioner Abad?
No, I think that was the gist of what I wanted to say. So, but by default, we're extending the current council members' term by 6 weeks or 2 months, right? And I know we don't have meetings in December, but there is the scenario where we would have a council meeting if there's an emergency or something. So again, the question is, who would take that seat? Who would take that vote?
My understanding, I think what the town attorney
The
just said
person
is.
sitting. So
it
we're
would-
really extending whoever's now sitting on the council, the term by 2 months, right? Okay.
Yeah, a month and a half.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
It's
it's
just
just simply
that's
that.
the first time,
it-
the first time that whenever this goes into effect.
Right, so let's take Hialeah, for example. Hialeah, Mayor Calvo won in November, yet, Mayor Jackie Rose continued running the city until he took office in January. It's a similar proposal.
Yes, and I believe other municipalities do the same exact thing. It's not new. But I think this just gives us more in line with what other municipalities do and gets us to start at that January year rather than having a start date back in November. Any further discussion? All right, I'm going to call the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
No,
All right, it's 3-1. Madam Clerk, motion passes. All right, that concludes. Anything else? I know we skipped over. Did anyone else have any other discussions on D, E, F, or G? Sure, Commissioner Banner. Just checking on, we're at 5.1 still, and since we hadn't gone into detail, if you had any motions on D, E, F, or G. And seeing none, all right, so we'll continue, we've finished off with Article 5.1. Next, we'll go to Section 5.2, Initiative and Referendum. Is there any proposals for 5.2 or motions or discussions?
I'd like to make a proposal, mostly for discussion, but I believe, and I'm trying to, that referendums for Dade County is 4% of the electorate, but our charter says 10%. Am I correct? Okay, well, I'm going to split the baby then. I'm going to say 7%. So I'd like to make a motion to change it to 7% from 10%. The number of electors necessary for initiatives.
Okay, do we have a second on that item?
I'll second for discussion.
Second for discussion? Okay. You want to continue with your your
Yes, sir. So,
Commissioner Abad?
I mean, I've thought a lot about this within the last month. I knew this was coming up. And initially, I was thinking the similar way you were thinking, Dr. Bennett. But thinking about it, the truth is our town has what? 20,000 voters. I mean, think about it. 7% is what? 1,200 residents. I think that number is way too small. I mean, I'm comfortable with the 10% that it's at. And I don't really think we should be touching that at this point.
Okay.
Okay,
Mr. Chairman.
Sure, continue on.
So the answer to Commissioner Abad is, I agree with him. One of the things that I always like looking at our history and to see, how things were done. And once again, the Declaration of Independence is not a governing document, but it's something to be quoted. And it says basically that when government becomes destructive of protecting natural rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, it is the right of the duty of the people to alter, abolish, and institute new government. But there is a corollary to that. And it says, prudence indeed will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light or transient causes, And accordingly, all experience hath shown that mankind is more disposed to suffer while evils are sufferable than the right of themselves to abolishing the forms of which they are accustomed. I wanted to bring this for discussion. I personally believe that the 10% is adequate, but I wanted everyone to understand why I decided not to do this. It's important that there is a certain amount of insulation for our elected officials when they make controversial decisions. They should have some insulation so that a minority of people could bring any type of recall initiative. I believe there's 1,600 electors, so we're looking at 1,600 signatures. If an initiative can't get 1,600 of 16,000, it's a minority vote and it shouldn't be considered of any significance. 10%, I believe, is adequate. So at this point now, I would like to withdraw my motion.
Okay, are you making a motion to withdraw your motion?
Yes, I am.
I'll
I
second.
wanted it, Mr. Chairman, I wanted this to be discussed. This is something I
Okay,
wanted.
well
in the-
then,
in-
instead of
in-
withdrawing motion, we'll just vote on the motion.
Okay, that's fine, even better.
Okay, okay. So is there any further discussion on the motion? All right, all in favor, say aye. Seeing none, all against?
Aye, no.
No,
Sorry. None. Motion dies.
it's okay.
Okay, now, so let's go section by section. 5.2A, 1 or 2, is there any discussion items or any motions?
Not this time.
5.2B, commencement of proceedings. I know 5.2C is what we were just on. Is there any on either sub 1, 2, 3, or 4? All right, seeing none. On section D, procedure for filing, 1 or 2.
Yes. If I may, I just need a definition of sufficient in this case. Initiative petition filed within 5 business days, filed, the town clerk complete a certificate as to the sufficiency of the procedure for filing. What is considered sufficient? Is just counting names on and verifying that they're electors? What is sufficient? What is the definition of sufficient in this context?
Are you proposing a definition?
Not at this time. I'd like to hear what it was.
I don't know if there's,
And I made this up 10 years ago. When we did this 10 years ago, the idea of sufficiency was based on just being verified electors. But, when I read this again, and I don't know if it's subject to the town clerk to determine if they're sufficient, or is it just, her job is just to count the number of electors that signed the petition? That's my question. In other words, should we have something, for discussion, should we have something in here defining what sufficiency is? That's the only thing that stood out to me.
Mr. Town Attorney?
So I would say that I'm going to make a general, an assumption here. The clerk is not only the, holder of all documents in the town clerk, but she's also the election official for the town. As the election official, she has a responsibility to qualify the candidates, and also when a petition is filed of this nature, to certify the petition and its sufficiency. Okay, so she has to abide by election law. That's statutory. So I can go back and provide you what that sufficiency means. My gut tells me, based on the fact that she has to file a certificate, that this is something that is required by state statute. So I can get back to you as to what that means.
Thank you.
And further, Mr. Town Attorney, again, this is also my assumption. I'm assuming since there is a certificate, that certificate probably has assumptions that the town clerk has to certify and determining as to whether it's sufficient. And I think that might set out the terms and conditions. So if we could look at that, if
I
we
agree.
can bring it back forward, the next item. Madam Clerk, if we can have that also added to the agenda as an old business item for the next meeting. Any further discussion on section D1? Yes. Yeah. Anything else on 12? Okay, now we're going to E, 1, 2, or 3, actions on petitions. Any discussions? Or any items for motions to modify? All right, seeing none on E. Now going to F, 1 and 2, results of the election. Seeing none, we'll move forward. Now going to Article 6, Charter Amendments. We'll start off with 6.1A. Is there any discussions or is there any amendments?
Just a moment, Mr. Chair. I
Motion.
pulled the section 6.03 in the homeroom charter. It's in my stack. If I can have just a moment.
No, I think he said he's pulling the 6.03. It's a reference that's in 6.1A. It's the county's homeroom charter.
Hello. Okay, if I may first, the homeroom 6.03 municipal charters. Excerpts from provided by section 6.04. Basically, the one thing that stood out in my mind is a governing body shall have 120 days after adopting a resolution or after certification of a petition of 10% of the qualified electors of the municipality draft, or have a drafted by a method determined by municipal ordinance or proposed charter amendment, revocation, abolition, which shall be submitted to the electors of the municipalities. I'm interpreting that if there is a initiative that there's 120 days before the town has to adopt a resolution on it. I'm confused as far as this section, how the home rule charter affected that section, even though it was cited there. And I looked at it, when I looked it up, I don't remember, I'm sorry to say, from 10 years ago, why we cited that section. It might have been just grandfathered in from the previous. So what I'm proposing, according to having amended section 6.03, I believe that this allows the council to amend the charter from the council. Is that how I'm reading this? Charter amendments, procedure to amend?
Well, there is a provision that allows the council to amend the charter.
Correct.
Yes.
But does that have to go to a vote? To the public, I'm sorry, a
Yes.
public vote.
So if I may,
Sure.
Go ahead.
and I'd have to
Mr.
pull it up on MuniCode, but what it says basically is that we're going to be following that provision of the Miami-Dade County Home Rule Charter, and that the council to create an ordinance that allows, for the implementation of that. And I believe that one was adopted. That's what is followed. But the computer's acting a little clunky. But I'll get you that citation from our code.
Yes, thank you. Once again, it's just a clarification. Sometimes we like to discuss these things without actually an amendment, only because for clarification, so we understand how one impacts another. That's why I bring this up. Thank you.
Yes, I do recall reading that there is a provision. I believe it's 7.4C. And I believe alternative proposals may be submitted. The council shall submit suggested amendments and revisions to the electors of the town in accordance with section 6.1. But I do believe there's explicit authority of the council submitting it, but they can't just amend the charter on their own either. It still goes to the electors.
That's how I interpret it
That's
also,
correct.
but perhaps a clarification, because once again, I'm not sure exactly what powers we are providing our town council. I just want to make sure sufficient checks and balances.
Okay.
Yeah. So if I may, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Jeff.
So
I'm turning it off.
there's two sections of the our actual code. It can be found, I believe this is Article 2, Charter Amendments, and it's found in Chapter 2, Administration. So the Section 2.21 purpose, it says pursuant to the Sound Charter 6.1, so it relates back to the charter. This article shall prescribe the method proposed in charter amendments to the town electors in a manner consistent with the provisions of Section 5.03. So you are correct. There's a Scrivener's error. It's supposed to be 5.03, not 6. That's a inconsistency in the charter.
Apologize. Where do you believe?
So I'm looking at, if I may approach.
Yes. Well, here it's wrong because I'm looking at the home rule and it's 6.03 is municipal charters. The county code? Yeah, this is this is the home rule amendment, 6.03 municipal charters.
Okay, so then this
I
is-
have a 6.03 here.
Alright, so it's fine. It's wrong.
Okay.
So it's wrong. Okay, so our code needs to be amended, so this is good. We're finding out things that need to be fixed. On the Miami-Dade County Charter, then, it separates it by section 2.2, section 2.22 and section 2.23. Section 2.23 is the form that we're all participating in, this forum, which is charter amendments proposed by the Charter Revision Committee. Section 2.22 is charter amendments proposed by the town council. And on that one, what it says is the town council may propose amendments to the charter at any time by council resolution. Alternative proposals may be submitted by the town council. The council resolution shall provide the full text and proposed charter amendment, the proposed ballot question, and the form of publication, the notice of election, and can call the election date for date certain in accordance with applicable law. In other words, they can go ahead and they can propose it, but then it has to be put out for the electors.
Mr. Chair, do we need, for Scribner's there, do we need a motion to amend, or is it just
Well,
need to be
that's-
just fixed?
That's
Yeah,
the ordinance.
So it's the ordinance that needs to be fixed, and we'll go ahead and take note and make and fix that.
Thank you.
Which possibly could have been used to be 4.03 and the county changed it to 6.03. Sure. All right, but that's over in the ordinance. That's the council's responsibility. We still have one of the council members here. All right, anything else on 6.1A or B? All right, and then we're gonna go to now Article 7. We're gonna start with 7.1, severability. Does anybody have any discussion items, any amendments?
Just for the record, Mr. Attorney, could you define severability? I mean, in contracts, I know what it means, but does it apply to this also?
Severability means that you could have a charter provision that becomes illegal. We're all beholden to the state, and if they pass something that makes a section of our charter legal, I mean, it's possible. So severability basically says that if you have a portion of the charter that's illegal, the rest is not affected. That's all it means.
Thank you.
Yes, and I'll follow up with that aspect of it. Yes, it is a legal term, and severability also goes into, it's not only just if it's illegal, it's if it's been deemed now invalid by a subsequent measure that has been done either by the town or by the state or a higher authority, including court law that could say it'll just simply excise it without having to go through a formal process of removing it. 7.2, conflicts of interests. Ethical standards, any questions, comments, discussions?
7.2.
7.2.
Right. Yes, quick question again. Does this relate to lobbyists? In other words, I'm a little bit fuzzy on, if the council member should have if he should have a financial interest or direct, indirect for any reason of ownership. Does that come back to does he have to register as a lobbyist if he wants to, if he has a stake at something? I know he can't vote on it probably, but would he have to register as a lobbyist if he wants to speak about something before the council? In this case, I mean, I'm just trying to interpret what that might mean.
A lobbyist
Mr.
is,
Town Attorney, I'm
Yeah.
not sure of the question, but
yeah, a lobbyist is very specific. It's someone who is advocating on behalf of a particular group, whether it's nonprofit or profit, to advance some type of legislation or to obtain some kind of agreement from the town. They're trying to lobby the council. In other words, they're trying to get something from government.
Oh,
As government officials here, if they have a conflict of interest, they need to disclose that. That's governed though by the rules of ethics,
right.
Miami-Dade County rules of ethics. But they're doing their job as council members. They're advocating on behalf of the residents and doing their job as.
And my question, of course, was if they wanted to get, once again, I game these things out. If they wanted to get around that provision, if he was a registered lobbyist, could they then forward at least their wants and desires? They may not be able to vote on it, but they would have to, as a lobbyist, wouldn't they be able to come before the council and advocate for a particular item?
No, a lobbyist, again, is somebody who's independent of the council. So no,
Yeah.
by definition.
and I
So being a
think-
registered lobbyist has no bearing at all on this.
No.
Okay.
If I'm understanding your question right, and Mr. Town Attorney, is a council member cannot register as a lobbyist before the body that that it's sitting on because of, and that's actually in state law, that's chapter 112. And that supersedes this aspect of it, so they can't, they would have an absolute conflict of interest, so they couldn't do that.
And that's why I asked, the
So
question.
chapter 112 is Florida rules of ethics,
Okay.
which Miami-Dade County doesn't supersede them. They strengthen those same rules,
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah, they've
Exactly.
enhanced the chapter 112
Correct.
under the county rule charters, and I think we've adopted through the county those enhanced ethical obligations.
Correct.
Okay, and that's why I asked the question. Once again, for discussion, there's some things that arise as I read these, and I wondered, and I like to know if there's a way to
No,
get
no.
around it, if that would have been one of the ways. That's fine. Thank you. I have
Yeah,
nothing else.
and the clerk just brought up an important point, is that after they are no longer members of this council, they are prohibited for, I think, a period of 2 years from lobbying on any item before this council.
Yeah, the state has done a lot of legislation on that, enhancing that time period and creating a gap between the time when they were on the board as well, or whatever they serve on that public body, and then subsequently.
Okay,
become
so
represent-
spontaneously, all those laws are automatically part of our charter. We don't have to specify it. It's essentially implied in our charter.
Well, it's
all these
not
laws.
specific. It says, the first sentence says, all council members, officials, town employees of the town shall be subject to the standards of the conduct for public officers and employees set by law. So
Thank
it's
you.
already incorporated. It's very explicit there. And even if it wasn't in there, Florida law requires it, mandates it. And so does the county's charter require it. So and that would be where if we had some conflicting, that's where your 7.1 severability would come into play. All right, any other questions? 7.2, conflicts of interest? All right, 7.3, town personnel. All right. We're 7.4, charter revision. We're going to start with A. I know there's some presentation by Manager Peterman.
All right. Do you have the presentation up there, Alexis?
Yes, he has it up.
Yes.
7.4. Oh, it's coming.
Because I'm looking at just the charter
There it is.
with no. There we go. All right. And so since we do not have a December meeting, this is the language that we put in with Councilmember Fernandez to make it clear that the appointment of the commission is done at the final regular meeting of the calendar year. And that's what they did this past year. The appointment of the commission members was done in November. And this is just more of a way of clarifying that it's done at the final regular meeting of the calendar year. If in the future the council decides to go back to having a December meeting, then it would be in December. Otherwise, under the current calendar schedule, it's done in the November meeting.
All right, thank you, Manager Peterman. Is there a motion?
That's for A.
Yes, that's for A. Is there a motion?
Yeah, I don't see any problem with adopting it. I mean, that's but specifically the previous ones on its final regular meeting, so I don't see an issue.
Okay, so just to read it in the record, your motion is to add the language at the end, which states at its final regular meeting of the calendar year to section 7.4A.
Correct. I mean, yes, I'll
Okay,
make
there's-
the motion, but that's fine. That's
No,
the
I
motion.
just want to read it so people can see it.
No, I
with everything
appreciate
on
that. I appreciate that.
And is there a second?
I'll second.
Commissioner Matos is seconded. Any further discussion? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, the motion passes. Now we're going to go to 7.4B, Manager Peterman.
Yes, this one is more just clarifying language. It talks about that the charter commission shall consist of one person appointed by each member of the council. And that gets away from in the future, whether the 5-member council gets adopted or doesn't get adopted. It's just gets away from the specific number of 7. And it just says one person appointed by each member of the council So whether we have, 5 or 7, that, it's one person per, member of the council.
Okay, let's take that first section first, then we'll take the second half of that, because I think that will be a different discussion there. Is there a motion for that amendment?
I'll second.
Commissioner Matos has motioned, and for the record, it's to add in the first line it should read, "The Charter Commission shall consist of," strike the word 7, add the word 1, continuing persons, and then continuing, adding appointed by each member of the council, period.
I seconded the motion.
And the second that motion, any discussion?
Yeah, I think this language would make things easier. If we ended up going from a 7-member council to a 5-member, it just solves it, because I don't know if our town attorney can get everything in 75 words to fix it all. So, yeah, this would be just a spontaneous correction then.
Yeah, I think the challenge with the 75 words is just simply because he's an attorney. I speak for myself as well. It's hard to put anything in 75 words when you do
Yeah,
that,
well-
just to introduce our own selves.
Yes,
sometimes.
well, you can see I'm very long-winded also, so.
So,
okay.
all right, any further discussion on that motion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none. All right, Ms. Manager Peter?
Chairman,
Yes.
I just wanted to let the board members know that a commission member, Tony Fernandez, has been participating,
Oh,
right? Like maybe in the last 15 minutes or so, and he has confirmed. So he is listening. And I don't see him in the screen, but I have he's acknowledging via cell that he is listening to the meeting and that he will vote or talk when he needs to.
Can you guys hear me now?
There you go.
Yes,
Yeah.
we hear you.
There we go.
Welcome.
I'm here.
Thank you, sir.
there you go. Another fun old commercial, if anybody knows that reference.
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioner Fernandez, and welcome to us. And please let us know if you have any discussion items or anything that you'd like to discuss on these. Please interrupt me if I don't see you with your raised hand.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Second part, Manager Peterman, if you want to continue on, I think the rest of it you can kind of take together.
Yes.
If you wanted to have that discussion of the second sentence and the remaining on that section B.
Yeah, it's more clarifying language. The inserting there, because we had the word council member, and it's again clarifying that it's the mayor and each council member. We couldn't substitute shall be made by each member of the council for that language, but it's just to clarify that the mayor also gets an appointment. Then a little further down, striking the word may and then shall and inserting shall. That in the event of a second term council member is not serving, the mayor shall appoint a sitting council member. So he's going to appoint somebody no matter what. And then the next whole sentence, the entire sentence that's added language, is the council member that the mayor appoints is subject. It's more clarifying language to just, I know that you've been treating it like this, but it's just that that council member is subject to the Sunshine Law, may participate in the discussion and debate, but does not have a vote and doesn't count towards quorum.
Okay, and then you have at the very last sentence.
Oh, yeah, changing from 45 to 60 days.
Okay, is there a motion?
We'll motion to adopt with clarification.
Sure, well, how would you like to present it if you're
Just
clarifying?
once again, and he's correct in that that's how Councilmember Fernandez has been acting. He basically, can certainly give discussion. He doesn't vote toward, he doesn't vote toward quorum or on the commission, but he's here. The only difference is the word sunshine law? Is that the only difference in the language that we're voting on?
No, so there was a couple of items and I'll read them again. In the first sentence, he's adding the one appointment shall be made by and adding the mayor and each member of the council, based on our new nomenclature that we came up with. Then in the third sentence down, in the event of a second term, council member is not serving the mayor, and he's replacing the word may with the word shall. So it's the mayor shall appoint a sitting council member. And then adding the sentence in full that the council The council member that the mayor appoints is subject to the Sunshine Law and may participate in the discussion and debate on issues. I think it should be on the issues, but shall not vote or count towards quorum.
Yes.
And then the last sentence is the Charter Commission shall commence its proceedings within, and they expanded it by additional 15 days to 60 days, striking the 45 calendar days after appointment by the council.
Yeah, I'm
Those are
seeing
the
this as a
changes.
distinction without a difference, though. I don't see what the difference is aside from the 60 days versus 45 days.
Yeah, I think, well,
And the
It's
reason,
because of the holidays primarily,
Yes.
where when the appointment of the commission is set, and then you're going through, the holiday season, it's just to give the commission a little more breathing room as to when
Okay.
they'll start.
so generally, as stated, the last council meeting's around November, and then that gives them, as opposed to in December, so that it would just give them a little more leeway through the
Correct.
holidays.
it'd give you pretty much probably to the middle of February or middle of January to have your first meeting, just in case the holidays just don't work out for everyone, so they can have it.
Seems reasonable.
So is that your motion to?
Yeah, a motion to adopt as, those are reasonable, and, we do want to make government work within, workable standards. So yeah, that's my motion to adopt the language.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second it.
A second by Commissioner Abad. Any further discussion or any discussion? All right, seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, motion passes. All right, we're gonna go now to anything else on section B from anyone from the commission? All right, now going to section C. Manager Peterman, if you want to go through with your suggestions, recommendations?
Yeah, it's more because of the elections department timelines for items to get on the ballot, and especially, that the commission's proposed amendments, that they be submitted to the council no later than June 1st of the year. So that gives them from, let's say, the middle of January to June, gives them almost, 5 months and change to prepare any amendments and present them to the council, gives the council enough time to then vote on them and approve the language that the attorney, the 75-word language. And then it gives them enough time then for the clerk to work with the elections department to make sure it gets on the ballot. And the last added language at the end is after 6.1 is that it be specific that it go on the general election ballot of the year where proposals were submitted to the ballot. So to avoid any kind of, issues with maybe it be a mail-in ballot or a standalone ballot or a standalone election, that it be on the general election, again, with the intended purpose of getting as many people as possible to vote on these charter revisions proposed by the Charter Commission.
All right, is there any motion?
I'd like to make a motion to adopt with an amendment.
Sure, what's the language that you would?
The amendment is that I want the Charter Commission to remain a commission body until such time as all questions are submitted to the electors. In other words, I think that this commission should remain a commission until such time as their work is done, which means that the language has been sent to the electors and that no further changes can be made.
Where would you add that in that section C? That section C is concerning how the
I understand.
amendments to the charter revisions are going to be submitted to
Well,
the electors.
Once again, we can do that, but see, once again, the general election to ballots going to the electors, I think it should be part of this. You don't use.
No,
in this.
I'm asking you, where is it that you see that language proposed?
Well, then okay, fair enough. We could add a section D if you want to make it separate, and then way we don't have to do that. So yes, okay, we could do that as a section
Okay.
D.
All right, so we'll consider that right after this one then?
That'll be fine. Sure.
Okay, so your motion right now is to read in
Just
the
to
language-
adopt it as is.
as proposed, and I'll read it real quick, is to change the month of, in the first sentence, strike October, add in the word June, and then strike the second sentence, which states alternative proposals may be submitted, In the the third sentence now, the council shall submit strike suggested and add proposed amendments. And then at the end of the sentence, add the words on the general election ballot of the year where proposals were submitted to the council. That's the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Matos, second. Any further discussion on this item?
I would like to add some. So I just want a clarification. So if we're going to strike alternative proposals may be submitted. So how do we submit alternative proposals?
Yeah, I think that language didn't make any sense to us when I was going over it with Councilmember Fernandez. He had some doubts about that language. And that's why I think he determined to propose striking that out.
Mr. Town Attorney, are you guys aware of any other provision that allows for alternative provisions in the town charter? I don't
No.
recall seeing anything, but
Not only that, but as the town charter delegates that or rather, as the town charter prescribes, that the method by which you amend charter questions are done through the ordinance, and I've read both ordinances, so there's only two ways. It's either through the charter commission or through the council. So that's the only alternative.
So again, and just for clarification,
Method.
since Dr. Bender was in that commission, do you recall why that was there? Why was added?
Give me a moment. I'm trying to remember
The-
the specific provision. The alternative proposals.
If I may, the only reason that this makes a little sense, thinking
Okay.
it through, is that, so the Charter Commission is going to go ahead and submit it to the council. The council has to submit it to the electors. That's definite. But the council at that point in time can go ahead and say, okay, well, we want to go ahead and propose something else that maybe is different or something that supplements or complements anything that's been done here. So I think that's why it says alternative proposals may be submitted. But I agree, it doesn't, because then the next sentence is the council shall submit it doesn't make sense unless you want to say that the council can also submit their own proposals, but it feels like it doesn't belong here in this section.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's almost like the property tax items that are being considered at the state level. Some of them may be in conflict with each other, and that language here almost proposes that you can put two different competing items that conflict with each other on the ballot, and I think it would only lend to confusion on the part of the voter.
And I guess that's why I brought up the idea that in the event for alternative proposals, that the commission could reconvene to discuss if there was an issue that the town council has proposed for the charter amendment, that our commission can at least meet on that and at least debate it.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I was hoping to be able to accomplish, that it wouldn't just begin and end with the council, that this commission will still have some input on the ballot language.
okay. We'll talk, I think that goes to the second item that we'll discuss. I don't want to mix the two. I did a quick search of the charter, and this is the only place that the term alternative is used throughout the entire charter, at least the quick search that I did. So I don't know where the alternative proposals that may be submitted. I don't know whether the alternative proposals would be it's not even discussed or defined anywhere else.
Seems
At least
vague.
not using the word alternative. So I
Mm.
think striking it's a cleanup type of language. So with that, we have any further discussion on the motion? All right, seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Seeing none, motion passes. I'll make sure to give you a second longer, Commissioner Fernandez. My apologies.
But all right, thank you.
All right, Commissioner Bennett, you wanted to discuss an addition
Yeah,
to a D.
I guess section D, that basically I'd like to make a motion that the Charter Commission remain as a commission, in full force until such time as the electors has the questions. Because at that point, we can no longer alter anything that goes on the ballot. I would like to just basically, in case something comes up that we may not have realized, that this commission could join again as a special session perhaps, and then allow us to go ahead and discuss anything that may have come up.
Okay, let me start off with,
Sure.
I know you were kind of making a motion, but I don't, if you have exact language that you're
I
proposing.
don't have exact language, so basically that the motion is that this charter commission remains in force until such time as the electors are given the questions for vote.
To the chair, is it may or shall? Sorry.
So, again, the charter commissioner, do you want may or shall, Mr. Commissioner Bennett?
Well, shall has a little bit more weight than may, so I guess we'll leave it as shall, just to keep it, okay.
Okay. Madam Clerk, do you have that? Okay, is there a second?
I'll second it.
All right, go second. All right, are there any discussions?
No, so just for, again, just clarification, not that I'm in disagreement or anything like that. So you're proposing what, until election day, until they have a chance to vote on it?
No, once it's been submitted for the ballot. In other words, the language has been completely signed off, and now that the Department of Elections now has the questions. At that point, I don't believe we can do any changes. Once it's been submitted, I don't think there's any type of revision on any questions submitted for the ballot initiative, I'm assuming. So in other words, I think, what's the deadline? Is it October?
Right now, it's October 1st.
October?
I
So
believe-
we would,
The current charter.
yeah, we would, right now, as I said, it's October. We would basically, be a commission. We may not be meeting, but anyone who sees an issue may call a special call meeting up until that time in which the language has been complete, cannot
So-
be altered.
Let me ask, Mr. Town Attorney, does the ordinance state, with regard to the Charter Revision Commission, when our duties terminate?
Let me look.
Okay, you have a chance on that. Because I'd just like to see, because if the ordinance already provides for something, it might be better addressed at the ordinance level. But if you want to have something more at the charter end, is what I'm trying to understand, Commissioner Bennett, is your proposal is to have the commission to remain active, I guess, for lack of a better term, until it's submitted to the council?
No, the language is submitted to the Department of Elections. Because the council may want to make some provisions, and then this charter commission may want to reconvene to discuss what their changes are.
Okay. Well, our body cannot change the council's language. or
But we can add,
provisions.
we can add two other questions. I just asked the attorney how many questions have to be on the ballot. He said there is no limit. We may want to add an additional question.
Okay, so you just like to make sure that there's a provision that allows us to reconvene, if necessary, to address to potentially provide counter proposals to what the town council may.
Whatever the body decides, once again, it has to be a.
Oh, no, I know it'd be a consensus, but what
Yeah.
I'm saying is, that's what you're seeking to do.
That's
is give us the
essentially,
opportunity.
yes, that our commission is not going to be discharged at the end of whatever April, that we would remain. We may not be meeting at any time, but we would remain a commission until such time as the language has been delivered to the Department of Elections.
Okay,
So if I can for
Yes,
clarification.
Commissioner Matos.
So the purpose of that would be in the event that once those items are submitted to council and there's a question or reasoning, they're questioning why we determined that or came up with that proposal. You're saying if we sunshine at the end, in April, we're not allowed then as a body to come back and address any of those questions. Is that the reason behind this?
Commissioner
Correct.
Bennett?
Essentially, that is correct. I just want to be sure that the Charter Commission, has input right up until the end, that the language has been sealed and codified onto the ballot. And the only reason why is we might we might find some of the language that the attorney may have made a Scrivener's error or some type of error, that we want to basically make sure that we haven't missed anything because, like anything else, sometimes in the wordsmiths over here, we miss certain minor, errors that may need to be brought before this commission.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, go ahead, and Commissioner Fernandez.
Thank you so much. I would be a little bit concerned, to Mr. Bennett's point, I would be a little bit concerned that it would end up being a loop of rebuttals, right? So if we finish our duties and then the council decides to propose, an alternative, as we discussed, to one of the things that this body proposed. It would give this body a second bite of the apple to then counter and then propose something else that the council is obligated to put on there, and then puts the council in a position to change. Like, I don't necessarily want it to be a race to the deadline. If there's disagreement between what this commission says, what the council wants, I don't want it to be a process where we go back and forth with competing proposals. So and ultimately the council is able to submit any such proposals at any time. So I don't think, I would just caution against doing that for that reason.
May I reply? Go ahead, whatever.
Go ahead, Commissioner Bennett.
Yeah, well, once again, second bite of the apple. The reason that we've been basically impaneled here is to provide any language necessary for the town charter. If the council chooses to basically not interpret what we wanted correctly, we have no way of basically responding to them other than a public records or, public comments. So I think as a commission, we are representing the people of Miami Lakes. And as such, we should remain a commission until such time as our duties are discharged.
Okay. Hold on, let me go to the town attorney and then I'll go to Commissioner Matos.
While the code does not explicitly state when the commission has discharged its duty, I think it's implicit in the sense that it states, in the event, and by the way, alternative is also in the ordinance. I'm going to read the whole thing. It's food for thought. In the event that the Charter Revision Commission submits a proposed amendment or revision to the charter, comma, including alternative proposals, comma, pursuant to Town Charter Section 7.4, comma, the town council shall propose such amendments to the charter by council resolution. The council resolution shall provide the full text of the proposed charter amendment, the proposed ballot question, and the form publication of notice of election, and shall call the election for a date certain in accordance with applicable law. So implicitly, at the moment that this body forwards those questions to the council, it has completed its duty. Now it is up to the council to take those questions and submit it to the electorate via resolution. So although it's not explicit, I believe that at the moment that you have finalized the questions that you're going to submit to the council, then you have discharged your duties.
Okay. All right. Any further discussion on this item? On the proposal to add language? Oh, Commissioner Matos, my apologies.
I don't see any harm in not sunshining when we're done, but I don't know that in listening to the town attorney, why we would want to continue. If in fact, it's really not any different than anything else. Once you've completed your task or your job, you're finished. So
I'll
the
reply.
likelihood-
Okay, that's fine.
the likelihood of the council coming back because we weren't clear, we need to be clear at the point where we propose those items. So
Okay.
I think continuing on is really not relevant.
All right, Commissioner Bennett, you wanted to respond?
Well, once again, so our town attorney says that our duties are discharged once we have the questions approved by the council that the attorney is going to be writing up.
No,
No.
the questions are not approved.
Commissioned by us.
I'm sorry, one more time.
What the
It's-
chair just said.
The questions are, when they're approved by us, by the commission, the council does not approve ours. What they do is they pretty much are ratifying it to submit it to
Okay.
the electors. However we write it, it's the way it's going to go. The council does not have the authority or ability to modify our proposed question. Now, they could submit additional type of amendments that they want to include that is supplemental to what we provide. Everything then goes over to the supervisor of elections to add to the ballot. And then so what they do is, from what he read and I understood, is all they do is it's incorporated into a resolution that they approve that they say, hey, look, supervisor of elections, this is what we want to put on the ballot to go to the electors of the town of Miami Lakes to vote on. So they don't amend anything that we do or modify or anything like that. They can supplement it, but they can't change it. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay, so, and once again, so our duties as a commission are discharged once we have the questions voted on by the commission and submitted to the council. Because they have the right to look over our questions. Doesn't go immediately to the ballot, does it?
No, yeah, absolutely. They can look over the questions, but they can't modify it. Whatever you decide, that
Right.
goes to the council. They have to
Okay.
adopt it by resolution. So they adopt it and then it gets transmitted.
That's how I remember it last time. I just want to be clear.
Yeah.
The only reason I wanted to, once again, to remain a commission in the event that some of the language needs to be clarified. So what you're saying is, we must get it right when we finish, and that's it, and that we can't, no Scrivener errors, no errors at all. This is what we intended, and that's it. And that makes it a little bit more pressure to make sure that what we are trying to do is adopted, or excuse me, is basically presented. However, once again, it's just a matter of, I call it human error, to
Sure.
make sure that we produce the commission at a time certain period. And I just picked once again that the actual, when the electors vote is when the commission, even though we can't change anything, once it's submitted to anybody, nobody can change anything once it's submitted to the Department of Elections, I'm assuming. The questions are submitted and that's it.
Yeah.
We can't
So-
resend it, can we? I'm just trying to say, I mean, once again, I game these things out. So we have our 10 questions. The council's approved it and it's submitted to Department of Elections to be placed on the ballot. I mean, that's how I understand it, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's what I'm trying to say, that once it's actually been placed on the ballot, I believe that's when we are, our duties are discharged.
Okay. All right. Commissioner.
Mr. Chair?
Fernandez,
Yeah,
and then I think
thank you.
Commissioner Abad.
I just wanted to put something on the record. Let's not lose sight that even if the proposed language it would end up being adopted, this would only be effective for the next cycle. So to Mr. Bennett's point, you know, the pressure of getting this right before it gets to council is still very much on us right now. Because we have to operate under the assumption that this language doesn't exist, because it doesn't.
Thank you, Commissioner Fernandez. Commissioner Abad?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to think why you're making this proposal. I mean, if once we finish the language, like you said, once we propose it to the council, nothing can be changed, right? If the council has to submit it, then I don't understand the point of us having to stay as a commission through elections. So at the end of the day, nothing can be done. We're not going to be changing anything else. We're not going to be meeting again.
Right. But the council may also propose alternate questions that conflict directly with what we have.
Yes. So look, I think we've had a lot of discussion, so I'm going to respond to that aspect of it and give my thoughts on it as well. The council has every right to, and I think this is what someone had mentioned of, you know, you kind of go into a cycle of, okay, competing of who's going to now put in an amendment, because then we have to bring it back to the council. They have to vote on it. Then maybe they put another alternative. But, you know, I referenced it earlier. It's already in the town charter that in the event that there's conflicting type of charter amendments that pass, the one with the higher vote is the one that ends up passing. So in the event that, you know, the electors are going to make the decision as to, hey, look, it's going to be the council's version, or is it going to be the commission's version? If they're in the event of conflicting type of provisions, you know, it's the electors are going to ultimately decide what that is going to be. What I did want to further say is that, you know, I'm not in agreement with extending the time. I think as the town attorney had stated, you know, our duty is to make these proposals to go to the town commission. You know, I think the town council has their opportunity to also move forward with proposing alternatives, or even their own that we did not consider or take up on their own, that they can submit as well. And I don't think it's necessarily our role to then believe, hey, look, well, we could have come up with something better, because we should do that at this point. And I can reassure you that, you know, to the extent I can, you know, I'll be working together with the town attorneys when we're coming up with the final questions that we'll be proposing to all of you guys. And I'll expect every single one of the commissioners to review those questions. you know, from grammatical errors, from punctuation, spelling, and everything, so we can get the best version of everything that we want to have proposed to be on the ballot. Because trust me, I'm a stickler for looking at every single one of those things. You guys saw it at the very beginning in the first couple of meetings. You know, I look at these very closely. You know, and since we're already covering a lot of these edits, I'm not doing those little minor edits throughout now as we're going through these sections. But I think it's going to, you know, we're going to get there, and I'm going to rely on each one of us to really look at all each of our edits and the language that we're going to be proposing, because I know I don't have the, you know, as having drafted thousands of contracts and thousands of phrases. One thing I do know is that when you are the one reading it and reviewing it, you start reading in your mind after a while, and having fresh eyes and having different points of view is very important. And so I'm going to be relying on everyone in this commission, the city here, to take a look at everything critically, and also, you know, from not only from the technical standpoint of, hey, look, this is the product that we want to submit to the council. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to call the question. All in favor of the motion, say aye. All opposed, say nay.
Nay.
Nay. Motion dies. Okay. All right. So 7.4, anything else for 7.4 charter revision? All right, so we're going to go now to 7.5, variation of pronouns. Any discussions, any motions? Seeing none, we'll move on. Section 7.6, no discrimination. Any discussions, modifications? Seeing none, we're going to go to 7.7, precedence over related laws. Any discussions, changes, modifications? Seeing none. All right, we're going, I think that is it. Yes, we are done for what we have for the agenda for today, my friends. So just briefly is, I anticipate we're going to go through section 8 and section 9, the last two sections of our charter, at the next meeting, in addition to obviously the old business items that we've discussed. Please take a look at it, make any suggestions, as I've stated before. If you guys are going to propose any type of modifications, please put them in a form of a motion that you'll submit to the clerk so she can share it with all of us, so we can see it in advance, as well as so they can have it ready so they can put it up on the monitor so everyone can see the language that's being proposed for those changes. And can you remind us of the meeting?
Yes, and the next meeting is March 12th and then March 26th.
And March 26th. All right. And so with that, I just want to remind everyone is, as always, we really appreciate the comments from everyone that appears both here in person, from the members of the public in person, whether on Zoom or if they send communications through the town clerk to share with us. You know, it has been stated over and over, this is really, we're trying to represent the entire community in doing this, and we'd love to hear from each one of your opinions, as it may be. And we really appreciate everyone that's been tuning in and following up and talking about this. And with that, we adjourn.
Good night.